Dharanagari was a kingdom of sustained stability. Under King Kadag Singh and Queen Rupwati, the realm operated with a predictable Golden Age prosperity. But this era of peace was a fragile equilibrium, destined for a sudden shift in fortune. The decline began when Queen Rupwati fell ill. As her health withered beyond the reach of any medicine, she became fixated on a bird's nest outside her window, a tiny microcosm of the domestic life she was about to leave behind. She watched a nature-driven tragedy play out in the branches. After the mother bird died, the father brought a new mate to the nest. Almost immediately, this new bird pushed the original offspring into the air, letting them fall to their deaths. Terrified that her sons, Rup and Basant, would face a similar fate, the queen extracted a sacred vow from the king. He swore he would never remarry, a desperate attempt to lock the palace doors against the arrival of a stepmother.
But the vow couldn't withstand the pressure of the court. Ministers argued that a king required a queen to maintain the social order. Kadak Singh eventually yielded, breaking his promise to the dead queen and marrying a woman named Chandrika. In this mythological framework, a broken vow acts as a mechanical release. By violating his word, the king snapped the anchor point that held the kingdom's luck in place, allowing the pendulum of fate to begin a violent downward swing. The garden omen was fulfilled within days. Chandrika viewed the young princess as obstacles rather than family, eventually barring them from her presence entirely. The cycle of rejection had begun. The boys reached adulthood just as the pendulum accelerated. During a simple game, a ball rolled into the new queen's palace. When Rup went to retrieve it, Chandrika met him, not with a mother's affection, but with a forbidden lust for the young prince. Rup's refusal was immediate, rooted in his loyalty to his father. In retaliation, Chandrika used her position to stage a crime. She tore her garments and accused Rup of an assault, using the king's own sense of honor against his son. King Kadag Singh, manipulated by a performance he had no reason to doubt, exiled Rup without a single question. Basant, refusing to abandon his brother, chose to walk away from his inheritance and follow Rup into the wilderness. Lust and blind rage acted as the fuel for this descent. Within a few hours, the brothers were stripped of their royal titles and forced into a landscape that cared nothing for their lineage. The brothers wandered the forest, crushed by their loss. They were no longer princes, but refugees in a brutal environment, mourning the family and the future that had been stolen from them. The world became even more hostile when a venomous snake struck Basant as he slept. He died instantly, leaving Rup alone in the deep shadows. His mother lost to illness, his father to a lie, and his brother to nature's strike. He sat by the body, questioning his uniquely heavy burden. This is where folklore introduces a sudden counterweight. The deities Shiva and Parvati, observing from above, moved by Rup's immense grief, Shiva satisfied Parvati's demand for justice. He restored life to Basant's body before the gods vanished back into the ether. These stories suggest that fate operates on two extremes. While tragedy strikes with a cold, mechanical precision, divine grace can enter the frame just as abruptly, resetting the laws of life and death without explanation. But the timing remained fractured. Before Basant opened his eyes, Rup had left to find a shroud for his brother's burial. He stumbled into a neighboring city just as their king's funeral procession was beginning. By local law, the first stranger to cross the path of the dead king's bier was named the successor. Rup, looking for a cloth to cover a corpse, was instead handed a crown and forced into a palace. Miles away, the resurrected Basant woke up to an empty forest. He began a desperate search for the brother who had actually been crowned, eventually wandering into the same kingdom Rup now ruled. Their fortunes inverted. Rup sat on a throne, while Basant was seized by soldiers to be sacrificed for a trapped merchant ship. One brother mourned in a palace, the other faced execution in chains. Their realities mirrored the same cosmic instability. In this narrative tradition, character is often treated as a tangible force. A life of integrity is seen as something that can eventually exert pressure on the physical world. As Basant was led to the merchant ship, he offered no resistance. But the moment he stepped onto the deck, the vessel surged forward through the water, freeing itself without the need for a sacrifice. His mere presence had resolved the crisis. The merchant was awestruck by this sudden change in luck. He spared Basant's life, but his gratitude was tainted by greed. He kept Basant as a servant, forcing a prince to perform the menial labor of a deckhand. The ship eventually docked at a kingdom hosting a Swayamrar, a ceremony where Princess Chandra would select a husband. The merchant arrived to showcase his wealth, with Basant following behind in his tattered servant's rags. The stage was set for a final confrontation between status and substance. In this world, the years Basant spent in uncorrupted suffering carried a weight that no royal title could match. Princess Chandra walked through the hall, bypassing the powerful monarchs and wealthy heirs who had gathered to claim her hand. She stopped in front of the merchant's servant. Recognizing a dignity that transcended his tattered clothing, she placed the marital garland around Basant's neck. Her father was incensed, threatening to strip her of her inheritance. Chandra stood firm, rejecting her father's treasury to stay with the man she had chosen. She saw the innate nobility that Basant had preserved through every trial. The pendulum finally returned to its resting point. The brothers were reunited, their names cleared, and their status restored. The tale serves as a map of the inescapable fluctuations of fate. The universe offers no guarantee against tragedy, and the gods intervene only when they choose. But the story suggests that ultimate victory belongs to those who maintain their moral center, even when the pendulum is at its most violent.